Hello YouTube, welcome to Motorcycling with Carl. Today's the day, gonna be doing the progressive fork spring install on my 2019 Harley Davidson Iron1200 Sportster. I've been waiting a few weeks to do this, been doing a lot of research because I found out the left and right fork are different on these models. So I did a lot of research to find out what I'm going to be up against and how to do it. I did find out the Harley fork oil is good for 50,000 miles. So when you put the new springs in, you got to remove fork oil. So I won't be doing a fork oil change. But at the end of this video, I'm going to touch on fork oil changing in these models and discuss it a tiny bit at the end. Which brings me to the next thing, that all my videos lately, the last few I did, this one and the ones coming up, I am going to try to break them into chapters. So if you want to see something particular in the video, you don't have to sit through all of it. You can jump to the chapters that you want to see. That being said, do me a favor. If you're if you've just found my channel, please hit the subscribe button. If you've checked out a couple of my videos but you haven't subscribed, do me a favor. Please, please, please subscribe. It'll help me out a lot. Hit the like button. I won't ask you to hit the bell for notifications. That's all up to you. But please support my channel and hit that subscribe button. I'm going to show you here. I bought the progressive fork springs for the front and I paid $97. I'll leave a link in the description for them. I bought a fork cap socket to take the fork nuts off so they don't get damaged. It's got an O-ring in it to keep from scratching that. I paid $17.99, but the price has since gone up where I bought them on Amazon to $21.78. I'll leave the link for that. I bought a couple of new O-rings for underneath the fork nuts. And I bought a fork oil level adjusting tool so we could adjust the level. Also, something you're going to want to subscribe for, I also bought rear suspension for the bike. That's going to be a video in a few weeks out. I'm going to do the rear shocks on the bike also. So I got a lot of cool stuff coming up. Hope you enjoy this video. I hope it goes well. Right now, I'm going to take off my windshield and I'm going to get the handlebars off, cover the tank and stuff, and then we're going to get started with this fork spring install. Alright, so I have my handlebars. They're undone. It's 4 bolts here. Loosens up, fold them back, covered the tank. That's all set to go. My windshield is a quick release. That came right off. What you want to do before you take the nuts off here, we want to take the pressure off the front end. So I got my jack under here and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to jack the bike up. I have it in the stand, it's in gear. I'm going to jack it up till the front wheel, we're going to see the suspension raising up, and I'm going to watch the front wheel lift up here. It's lifting out of there. So I know all the pressure is now off of the forks. They're all the way up, so the least amount of pressure is on the nuts. So I'm going to come over, and according to the book, this is the side that's going to have the pressure from the spring on it. So let's see what happens here. Let me make sure that we're in focus so we got good view of the spring popping up and busting me in the face, whatever might happen. All right, so I'm going to keep pressure on it for when it pops. I don't know how much pressure. Oh, that was a decent amount. All right, so we have the cap, the spacer. All right, I'm going to bring this over to the table. We got the cap, the spacer. Let's see what else we have in here. Okay, here's the washer that goes on top. I'm gonna grab me a rag so I could wipe this spring down as I pull it out. We'll go nice and slow. I don't want fork oil all over everything. Bring this over here. Put it on the bench. Let's take a look. The new spring is actually a little shorter. Definitely thicker coils. Yeah. We're gonna see. We're gonna find out. All right, so let's go over to the other side. Now, according to everything that I've read, we should not have there shouldn't really be a ton of pressure, if any, on this one, but I am gonna keep pressure down on it just in case. I don't want any surprises. I think it's off. What I'm gonna do to try to get this to come out is I'm gonna let a little weight off of the jack. Wow, look at that. That explains that. All right, so I don't know if you could see here, but when you take this, all right, I had the bike all the way up. I loosened this. It is the damper rod is threaded into the fork cap, okay? So what I did after I loosened it up, it wouldn't come out. I compressed the forks all the way down. It's up and out. You have to grab the nut that's on the rod, put your fork socket on there, and then this cap, ta-da, will actually thread right off of this rod. Okay, so now this is where it gets interesting. We're gonna lay that there because this is where they say you need the tool. Okay, they say in order to get this spring in, you need a tool to compress this, to take this nut off. All right, so I looked into this, and you know what? It's about to get real. There's this nut on here that holds the retaining clip, the washer, and it's under pressure, but some of the pressure comes off as you undo it. And what I'm doing is I am undoing it. I'm gonna get it to a high spot. I'm gonna see how much pressure is on this spring, and then I'm gonna look at it and say, can I get that thing back on there or not? I mean, I'm sure I could make a tool if I had to. You know what, guys? I'm going for it. We're gonna see how it works out, and maybe you guys will learn from it. I hope this doesn't bust me in the face when it comes up. But, oh, it's off. All right, we got a nut, a retainer, and a washer. That's off. We're gonna pull the spring out. That damper rod dropped right down there. That's gonna add to the fun of getting it back on, I think, is holding that rod up at the same time. Well, all right, so the next thing we have to do is suck out the fork oil to 175 millimeters from the top of the fork. I have a mark on this rod where I am gonna hold it and see what happens here. There we go, we got it. All right, so I got my mark on this rod, 175. We're gonna there it is. All right, so the oil level in both sides is set to 175 millimeters from the top of the forks to the level of the oil. All right, guys, so I took one look at this and I know that I'm not going to be able to push this spring down, and then I got to get the damper rod up and everything. So you need some kind of tool. So what I did here was I got creative and I made my own tool. So I took a little break, and so that's going to go on there. What I did was I made this piece of plywood. I'm going to use the holes for the speedometer. All right, and that's going to go in there. We get the handlebars out of the way. You'll see how this is going to work out. So right now the bike is all the way down. We're gonna crank the bike up here, and what's gonna happen is that spring should go down inside, okay? Cranking it up, cranking it up. All right, so the spring is below the speedometer mount there. Okay, I hope you can see that. I'm trying to get all of this stuff so you can see it. So I found 2 washers, and I'm using the existing, handlebar speedometer mounts there. We're gonna put that like that. Now I made a notch and everything in this so I could slide it right off. Okay, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna put that there like that. Okay, you don't want to drop anything in your forks either, so you gotta be careful. Okay, so we get that to about where we want it. Okay, and then I'm gonna take this. Hopefully you can see this. Now I'm tightening this one. Okay, so let's snug them up. Alright, so I'm hoping that now is going to hold that spring in place. What I'm going to do now is I am going to drop the bike. That should hold the spring compressed. Okay, and it looks like it is holding the spring. Okay, forks are now bottomed out. Okay, I'm off the way to the jack. Now the problem is the damper rod is all the way down in the fork. So this is where you want to make sure you at least have a magnet tool, okay? My magnet's not that strong, so I'm gonna have to work on getting it down there. And I am going to need to take my time, because it's going to want to keep pulling off. If you have a real super duper magnet, you'll be good. Okay, so the shaft is coming up. I'm just hoping that the spring is compressed enough that I could catch this nut on here. Okay, it's almost here. It's almost here. It's here, but it hit that piece. So, oh, don't go, don't go. Okay, I got it. Oh, I missed it. I got it again. I got it. Nice and easy. Nice and easy. Come on, baby. And I made the slit in the plywood big enough so that the nut fits in there. Okay, good news, good news, good news. Alright, it's up there. I got my finger on it. I'm going to put my magnet down. Okay, once this is caught, it's not going to go anywhere because it's on that piece. So what I could do now is jack the bike back up, and it should take the pressure off of this plywood. Alright, so let's do that. Let's jack the bike back up, see if it takes the pressure off of the plywood. Guessing that all it is. Okay, that took the pressure off the plywood. Looks good, looks good. This is crazy. Alright, so I'm going to take this off now. Man, got to get creative to do some of this stuff. Not having the tools, you make your tools. Hope you guys are enjoying my video. Alright, so now I'm putting a 9/16 on here to try to bring it all the way down and tighten. Get that to where it's there. It is. It looks like it's all the way down, but I want to get it in the center of the spring. There's so much pressure on that nut, it ain't never backing off. Alright, and then I'm assuming what we're going to do now is we're going to take this cap, we're going to thread it back on there, we're going to grab a 9/16, and we're going to grab this. We're going to hold the 9/16 and we're going to just tighten that on there. The O-rings look like they're in perfect shape, so I'm not even going to bother replacing those. Alright, now what I'm going to do to get this to catch is I got to jack the bike back up. So, as of right now, it should be close. Let's see what happens when I start turning it. If it sucks in, which it's not, so I'm going to jack the bike up a little bit more. Okay. And now it should catch. All right, it's going. I'm just gonna bring this to where it's snug, and then I'll torque them at the end. All right, that one's snug. What I'm gonna do is drop the spring in here. It's a new one. Tight side down. Washer, ka-chink, spacer. Now we gotta catch. Damn, I got it. That was not easy. Oh, all right. So, all right. What I'm gonna do, let me torque these down, and then I'm gonna put my handlebars and everything back on, and then I'm gonna check out. I'm gonna close out this video. All right. So that is going to wrap up the video for the progressive front fork springs in the Iron 1200. Let me tell you, I knew it was going to be difficult, but it was probably a little more difficult than I was expecting. When I took that spring off of the damper rod, I knew I was going to have to make a tool to help me do the job. And making that little tool that I made, it was so simple. It was harder to put the spring back in the other side than it was to put the spring in on this side with making that little tool. And all you need is a piece of plywood, a couple washers, what else? And you need the magnet on the stick there to pull the damper rod up when you're done. All right, so I hope this helped some people out. I mean, I've looked all over on YouTube for videos of these forks that are different. I couldn't really find them. Maybe they're there, but I couldn't find them. So the Iron 1200 is all back together. Like I said, in a few weeks, I'm going to be putting new rear shocks on the bike. So I'll get that done. And then, weather permitting, when the snow melts, when I can get out there or whatever, I'm going to go out and do a serious test ride and review with the new suspension and having the Del Rio windscreen on there and everything. The bike should be running pretty good. And then I'm also going to get, I think, a luggage rack. I don't know about changing the seat or a sissy bar. I'm going to do some other stuff there. Going to upgrade the battery. The one other thing that I said I was going to talk to you about at the end of this video is changing the fork oil fluid. All right, so on these bikes, guys, all the research I did and everything, I'll zoom in here. Some of the sliders don't even show a bolt going up through the bottom. Some of them do. But if you're going to go through the trouble of taking the tire off and everything, it's probably easier to slide the fork tube right out turn it over and dump it. Because if you take these screws out that go up through the slider, they actually attach to the damper rods and stuff inside. So you'll probably need an impact to get them out, and then trying to get them retorqued with the damper spinning inside, near impossible. So I wouldn't even try or attempt to take those out if it was me and drain fluid that way. Because like I said, you have to take the tire off to get to them anyway, and at that point it's just easier to slide the fork tube out and turn it over and just dump the fluid out and put new fluid in. But like I said earlier in the video, Harley fluid's good in the book for 50,000 miles. So if you're going to do your spring upgrade, just take the old springs out, take your measurement with your forks compressed to where it needs to be. You may need to add a little bit, depending if you're low or whatever. You may need to take a little out, but get it to where they tell you to have it, and you'll be all set. So until next time, when I'm hopefully, I might have a video in between, but until I'm doing those rear shocks too, this is Carl saying laugh a lot, be nice, and stay safe.